Hey everybody, it is time to make the Jennifer Smith layouts, and it's always an adventure with Jennifer because she's not great about writing instructions and she misses things all the time. So one of the things that she missed is on the supply list, there was not melon glitter paper, or you could also use melon shimmer trim. Either one of those would work. It is on your supply list. I sent that to you, but when I am showing supplies at the beginning of this video, you won't notice the glitter paper there, but you are going to need it. Secondly, I do the pattern paper cutting after the cardstock. It's a little out of order on the instructions, but it's just because I missed that. So at the end of the cardstock cutting, you'll see the pattern paper cutting. Then the third thing is that I didn't realize until I was done, just because of the way her directions look, that you are actually going to need to cut your Cricut circles are out of pattern paper and not out of cardstock. When I first looked at them, I thought it was cardstock that you're cutting those on. I'm trying to find the paper here. But it's actually, you're cutting them out of pattern paper. So let's look at that real closely here. So on this page, it says actually pine pattern paper and the mist pattern paper. So those should be, those circles, it's just 6 circles, but you'll need to do them out of the pattern paper and not the cardstock. So you will notice that my circles, when you see them come up in the video, are made out of cardstock, but I recut those, so once we get to the layouts, they will be right. Thanks. Hi everybody, let's do Jennifer's Cosette scrapbooking workshop. You're gonna need some stuff. You're gonna need your Cosette paper pack with stickers. You're going to need the Cosette die cuts. You're going to need the Cosette card making stamp set. You're going to need intense black ink, espresso ink, pine ink, white daisy cardstock, 8 sheets. You're going to need mist cardstock and 4 sheets, espresso in 2 sheets, pine 2 sheets, and toffee 1 sheet. And then you're going to need an ice gray blend marker, a coral shades marker, a gold yellow, which I cannot find mine, so I'll just look in my other markers and find something similar, and a dull green blend marker. And then of course your trimmer, sponge dauber, she said, all-purpose mat, blending brushes, a tea ruler or regular ruler, microtip scissors, journaling pen, and all-purpose mat. And then the first thing you're going to want to do is get out your Cricut and cut these circles. So that is in the instructions. You're going to have to click on the link. It'll take you right to it. That's the only Cricut cutting we're going to have to do, so it's going to be nice and easy. Okay, I have cut these out on the Cricut. You can also use a circle cutter, whatever you have, punches to cut these circles. And let's talk about the directions here. For one thing, Jennifer says to edge all the, or ink all the edges with espresso ink and a sponge dauber. Now this is optional. I'm not going to be doing it for this one, just because it's going to take way too long for you guys to have to watch that. Plus, I just have so many workshops to get through for you guys. So, but if you want to, after you cut them, go ahead and edge everything in espresso ink. And the other thing I forgot to mention was that you're going to need blocks for this, for your stamping, and of course your photos or photo placeholders. This next page tells you what to stamp. We'll stamp that later. Let's start with the zip strips. And those are zip strips for something else. There we go. Okay, let's get these cut off. Most of the time I try to do the side with the writing when I'm cutting, just because it's a little easier to see most of the time. So I'm going to do 2 pages at a time on my not so level desk. We'll see if that'll work for me. And let me get those in there. This one we're gonna cut in half, I believe. Let's see. Cut zip strip in half lengthwise. Now, does that mean that she's just cut one of them? Jennifer is not great on directions, so layout 1, cut zip strip in half lengthwise. All right, I'm going to look on layout 1 real carefully and see if we have to do that twice. Yes, we do. Okay. This is the thing about her. If you've watched any of my other Jennifer Smith videos, you know already. Okay, so I'm going to put this at the 1/4 inch mark on both sides. So I'm going to just get this evened up so that I'm going to cut right in the middle and get some handy dandy washi tape to hold this down. Another way you could have done it, and I should have thought of this, but you could have cut a 1/4 inch of the zip strip while it was still on the paper. That makes it easier. You know, I'm gonna do these one at a time because it keeps sliding. So I'm just gonna put that, see, right between this mark here so that it's exactly in the center, and tack it down with a little washi tape. So you could have gone through and just let me show you. And you could have just stuck your first paper in, did just a 1/4 inch and then another 1/4 inch. That would have worked too. Probably easier than what I'm doing now. So if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and do that. But one thing about this one, especially, I do this now on all of the workshops, but especially on Jennifer's, I get one shot at it. So you guys are watching me as I'm making it. I have not made it. I don't know what it's gonna look like and stuff. And I didn't have any examples for you because of that. Because I can't make this whole thing twice and make the other workshops twice. So Valerie and I have decided now that we're going to just make everything kind of live, except with we're recording it once basically, and then if we do make a mistake, you know, we can edit it with some words and stuff and little captions saying don't do this. But otherwise we were actually making everything twice, and that's just, you know, economically that's not great, plus time wise. And then, you know, I didn't need 2 sets of the same layouts either. So now we just do it as we go, record as we go. All right, there we go. So that washi tape helps hold that down really nice. So that's a great technique to use. Don't you love learning new things? Of course, you guys already knew this, I bet. All right, so I think we're gonna have to do this a couple more times. So we might do it the easier way on the other ones. Okay, so that's layout 1. Excuse me. It is early morning. I wanted to get a really early start, and so I do have a frog in my throat. Okay, so the next one are these. These ones, it looks like we just are going to cut them at 10.5. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any fancy stuff for this. So I'll move them out. I'm going to do the white side because I can't see that. The direction side, I should say, or the label of the paper pack on the zip strip. Okay, and then that's at 10.5, which means I'm going to cut off 1.5. Hope this is in camera range. And that's for layout 2. Set those aside with layout 2. Then layout 1, melon shimmer trim or melon glitter paper. Now, she did not say that. This is what this girl does. That is not in the instructions that there's melon shimmer trim or melon glitter paper. So now I have to stop the camera because she didn't add that and run and get some melon glitter paper. Okay, so be right back. Okay, I have my glitter paper. So glitter paper, we're gonna cut 1/8 inch strips. So 11 by 3 1/4, and we're cutting 4 at first, that length. but all together, looks like, so layout 1, we're cutting 4/8 inch by 11 3/4. Layout 2, we're cutting 2 1/8 inch by 7 3/4. Layout 3, we're cutting 2 1/8 inch by 11 1/4. This girl is like crazy. Okay, so that is 8 altogether, and then we'll trim them down. So 1/8 inch, very skinny. Cut 8 of these. Okay, it's lucky that her layouts are worth it in the end, because they can be a pain to make. And she doesn't do videos. So I've always caught having to figure this all out myself. All right. So first 4 are going to be, you're going to cut just 1/4 inch off of them. I'm doing that to all 4. And those are going to go to layout 1. And 1 more. Okay, so those are layout 1. And then also layout 1, we're going to cut at 1/8 by 7 3/4, 2 of them. And 7 3/4. And 1 more. Okay, and that's layout 1 also. And then the last 2 go to layout 2, and those you're going to cut 3/4 of an inch off, because those are supposed to be 11 1/4. I hope I'm not out of camera range there, but cut 3/4 of an inch off. Okay, and those are for layout 2. All right, and that might be it for the zip strip type things. And then there's the thin cuts. Let's do those at the end after we cut all of this other paper, and then that way we're just using our scraps to get to those. So starting with Toffee Cardstock, Dark Side. And I was running around like crazy seeing if I had any Toffee cardstock, because I did a retreat a couple weeks ago, and apparently all my Toffee cardstock got bought, and I did not know it. So I didn't have any left in my stash, which means I need to place an order today. And but I found some in another place. Just a couple sheets, I think. I think that this is it, actually. So, Dark Side, she says. And I guess we're only doing it once. Cut 2 of 3. What does that mean? Cutting diagrams, 2 of 3. I don't know what that means. This is the stuff that I don't understand when I look at Jennifer's thing. Cut 2 of 3. I don't know what that means. Okay, so I'm going to look at this. Let's see. These are all for layout 3. Look at me. This is, I'm going to do this on camera instead of taking it off camera, because this, if you ever have to do her stuff, it's probably good if you know this too. All right, it looks like just for that one alone, I just need 1 page of Toffee. Okay. Jeez, Jennifer. Okay, so 3/4. This is so crazy. I'm trying to figure out her her little symbols here. I guess she put some things on the first page about that, but I kind of ignored them. And I'm not sure, but that's still just a measurement, so it says 3 by 4. Okay, I guess this is how she's doing it. So she means 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, or 3 by 4 1/4, I guess. Jeez, but that seems odd. I guess those pieces are gonna be behind anyway, so it's not a mat. All right, so 3 by 4 1/4. The way she's got it on here is odd. So let's cut all the way down, 3. Set that aside, and then 4 1/4. These are more backgrounds, not mats, which is why it was confusing me for a minute there. And then 2 3 by 1. So you already got it cut by 3. So just do 2 more inch pieces. Oh, I hear the birds singing right through my window. I just put out a little sticky bird feeder that sticks on the outside of my apartment window. I'm hoping to get some birds from that. Okay, so there you go. These are all layout 3. And I'm gonna run out of room for my little stacks. Okay, next is espresso. That'll be your darker brown. And it says dark side. Almost always she goes with the dark side. So do I. This is going to be 5 1/4 all the way down. And then turn it for 3 3/4. And for 7 1/4. And just like that. That is probably a mat. Okay. Both of those go to layout 1. She started doing something I see on here, so you know which layout each thing goes to, left or right page. So you could even divide them down further if you want to, because she says L1L, which means layout 1, left hand side. Okay, and then let's continue cutting. The next one is 6 1/4. And then we will turn that and go 4 1/4. That's obviously a mat too. And I see she's labeled them mat, so you know that's helpful. Then turn it back and go 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, those are both also for layout 1. And then we're at another espresso. These are going to be for layout, now she's turned all the stuff around. So it's L3L, L3R, and then 3-1L, 3-1R. I'm going to guess that's also layout 3. But, yeah. It's always like this. So it's 4 1/4 all the way down by 4 1/4. And then the other one is going to be 6 1/4. Slide that over. And let's put those on layout 3 and hope that that's all correct. And then the next one, same thing, 4 1/4 all the way down. Turn it and go 4 1/4, and then 6 1/4. Okay, lots of scraps. Let's put that on layout 3. We can always change it later, right? Okay. The next one looks like she's got some scoring on it. So this is going to be layout 2, and it's going to be the pine, dark side of the pine. Cardstock, so that's the dark side, and we're going to do some scoring. So first let's cut them. So 4 1/4 I wonder what she's doing on that. That's gonna be interesting. 4 1/4 all the way down. Turn it and do 4 3/4. And we will score that in a minute. And then 6 3/4. Hopefully I'm in the camera range for that. And let's do that again. 4 1/4. All the way down. Turn it and do 4 3/4. And then 6 3/4. And then the last little piece is going to be 2 by 5 1/2. So let's go cut it at 2 and then 5 1/2. Okay, and that gets dovetailed. So might as well do that right now. So Jennifer and I have been friends when since I needed a roommate at one of the Close to My Heart events. I don't know if she was looking for a roommate or I put out the word, or I can't remember. It's been so long. But I remember talking late into the night with her while we're laying in beds, you know, and I heard all her Canadian stuff. Canadians think differently. They do. They've got a whole mental thing that's completely different than Americans. And so I was learning all about that night. Okay, now we're gonna score. It says score on the long side of these 4 1/4 by 4 3/4 mats. So there's the 4 3/4 side. So I'm scoring in a 1/2 inch. So I've got my scoring tool. You may also have a black scoring tool on your trimmer. I'm going to use this one, and I don't have to take the trimmer apart to do that. So I'm going to move it over to the 1/2 inch mark, get my blade out of the way, and carefully just go down in that groove to score that. And I have a feeling we're going to be folding it or something, because she would probably tell me which side to score it if it was just for decoration, and I don't think it's for decoration. So move it into the 1/2 inch mark, the long side, and then score that. Okay. These are layout 2, all of them. So get those in that pile. And then let's move on to page 7. Or page, there's 5, 6. Am I missing page 7? There it is, okay. All right, so pine cardstock, dark side. Hopefully has some more. Didn't I use one to cut circles? I sure did. So I have to grab that one because I think it's in the other room, because I have leftovers. So some of the pine cardstock you used for your circles. I'm gonna go get my scraps. Okay, I can see I was a little bit off there. Hopefully you guys are seeing everything. It's hard. Maybe I should lift it up a little bit more for you. Let's see if that helps. Okay. And I know the lighting's not great either. Okay, so let me trim this off because I know I'm not gonna need all of that. And so what we need is a 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 mat. We're gonna do just what we did before. So cut it at 4 1/4. Turn it. And this is 4 3/4. I'm just gonna kind of make sure I am in camera range there. Close enough, I guess. It's hard because my camera stand is right here, so I can't move my trimmer further. 4 3/4 and 6 3/4. Okay, and I'm gonna put the 6 3/4 over on layout 2, and then we're gonna score this last piece here at 1/2 inch. Okay. Next up, white daisy, and we're gonna cut that 11, and we're gonna cut 2 sheets, it says, at 11 3/4 by 11 1/2. This is very typical for her. This is a typical cut. I notice she does this a lot. So 11 3/4, which means I'm cutting off a 1/4 off that side. And I'm gonna turn it and cut a 1/2 off the next side. And I did both sheets at once. So if you didn't do your second sheet, get that. And that's gonna be layout 1. And I've run out of room for layout 1. All right, there we go. Okay, and then grab 2 more sheets of white daisy. And this is gonna be layout 2, unusual. Let's see, that she does so much white. Usually she doesn't do quite as much. Okay, and we're gonna go 11 3/4, so we're gonna cut off, 11 1/4, so we're gonna cut off 3/4. And then 10 1/2, which is cutting off 1 1/2. I'll just go up to the 10 1/2 mark there. And this is layout 2. Cut 2 sheets there. And I have no room. Excuse me, here's that frog again. And layout 3, we're gonna do 11 1/2 by 11 1/2. Now, you know, when I see all this white paper, I'm immediately thinking that I need to dry emboss it with some lines or something. So we'll see how much background there is, whether I need to do that. So take out 1/2 inch off of both sides. Because you know I like that texture. All right, like that, and that's layout 3. Okay, so let's get on with that, and that's on page 5. Somehow when I was turning the directions, I did not notice the pattern paper that we need to cut. So that's this page. Let's get on with that. All right, now grab all that pattern paper and let's see, because she kind of makes it a little confusing on this too because of the coloring, and it's I understand that that's a little bit hard. So I think this is going to be this peach, well, pink paper, or is that mulberry? So let's get on with that. And it looks like she's got the stripes this way. It's very light, so it's kind of hard to tell. So we're gonna cut, first one is 1 inch by 3 1/2 inches. So I'm just gonna go this direction because it's just easier, and go to the 1 inch mark. Got that, and then turn it to go 3 1/2, 2 times. And this is gonna go to layout 1. And then the rest would be scrap for that. Layout 1. And then let's keep the paper the same direction, horizontal stripes, and do 1 1/4, 1 1/4, and then we'll cut that lengthwise too. And you can do that twice. So 1 1/4 twice. I don't like the way her measurements show on this. They're odd to me. I'm so used to the close to my heart ones, I guess. Okay, so now pick those 2 pieces up, and we're gonna cut 3/4 of an inch off of them. Just like that. Now that is layout 2. Okay, put it back in. This time we're gonna go this direction. So 2 1/4 all the way down, and then do that again. Push it over, 2 1/4 all the way down. And then it's a 10.5 piece, so we're gonna cut off 1.5 inches. And then this will go on layout 2. The rest is scrap. The last will be 4 by 4. So I've already cut the 4. So now I'm gonna turn it and cut the other 4. Move that over and do a 3 inches. And those two go to layout 3. All right, turn it back the other way so the stripes are horizontal again, and we're gonna go 2 3/4. Turn it and go 2.5 and 2.5. And 2.5. And those are layout 3. And then the rest is scrap. Okay. Next we're gonna do the very pretty and very French looking wallpaper paper. That's what I call it, but with the little leaves on it. And it doesn't matter which direction you go. So it's 3 inches over. And then turn it and do 7. And that goes to layout 3. And then turn it back and do 1 3/4. By 3.5. And that goes to, oops, something got caught in there. There we go. That goes to layout 3. Okay. Grab that paper again. Do it again, 3 inches down. Turn it to 7. That goes to layout 3, and then turn it back again, 1 3/4 by 3.5. That other piece is scrap. That goes to layout 3. Last one, I'm just gonna go turn it sideways, even though they don't have it turned sideways. And it's 1 1/2 by 3.5. And that goes to layout 2, but we're gonna dovetail it first. Up the middle, about 1/4 inch, and then bring in the sides up to the point of your cut. Like that. Okay, and that's layout 2. Now we're on the green paper. It kind of looks like upholstery. And push that into 4 inches. And turn it to do 2 3/4. And then do it again, 2 3/4. Those two go to layout 3. Turn it back and go to 3. So it's now vertical again, 3 inches. Turn it and go 1 1/2. 1 1/2 again. And those two go to layout 3. And then let's turn it one more time back to the vertical. 2 1/2 inches. And to 1 1/2. Yeah, it's the way she's got her markings this time. It's weird. 1 1/2 and 1 1/2. And the rest is scrap on that part, but we got one more. And those go to layout 3. We got one more on the big piece. And that's going to be 2 1/4 inch pieces. I'm gonna do it this way. And then we'll cut those down. And then you get a lot of scrap left there for card making. And take these pieces, and I'm gonna just put them together and go over to the 1.5 mark so that they got 10.5 inches long, and those go to layout 2. All right, hopefully the last one. And then I haven't missed another page of cutting. 4 inches by 3.5. And 3.5 again. And those go to layout 3. Turn it back vertical again, and let's go to 2.5. And turn it and go 1 3/4. 2 times 1 3/4 and 1 3/4. And those go to layout 3. So next up, you need to do all your die cuts. So it seems like she's got these fairly organized here. So just look through there, see what total you need to do of your die cuts. It's this page and this page. And get those all ready, and then we'll color them. So get your die cuts ready, and I'm not going to do that in front of you because you know, it messes up the camera. It's really boring anyway. So go ahead and get all your die cuts made, and then we'll stamp them and we'll color them. Okay, once you have all of your die cuts cut out, you need to stamp them. I'm only going to stamp one round here because you don't want to have to sit there and watch me stamp all this. So I'm going to do one round of these. Don't forget to season them on your wrist. And I'm just going to do one round, but I've got all of my die cuts cut out and ready to go. But just doing one bit here for you guys. And then you're going to pause, and you're going to do all the rest of them. So don't forget, when you're inking, you get a good coat of ink. Don't rock your stamp. Don't let any ink get on your block. And then when you press down, give it a second to kind of sink in, and you're going to get a much better image. Oops, what did I just do? All right, don't do that. So now I'm going to grab my other one because I have a big piles of these. Remember, you can always make extra ones and then just leave them in with the stamp set so that you have them ready to go. I mean, if you're going to haul that big thing out. Now, see, I didn't get a good impression because I was talking. Well, shoot, good thing I made a big pile of these. Let's try it again. All right. Press hard. Let it sink in. My phone is going all over the place. Sorry about that. All right, much better. Okay. And then you, of course, are going to clean it. I will do that in a minute. And grab the next one. These are very pretty. Season it. That just gets the coating off that's left at the factory. This is the bigger stamp set. Yep, that's going to rock my camera, sorry. This is why you don't want me doing this to all of them. And then just line it up. Press down hard. And there we go. I gotta like move my ink because I'm gonna float another one right on there, I'm sure. So look, I already got ink marks on that. All right, and next. Oh, this is fun though. Gosh. I'm on my 17th hour of crafting this weekend because I had a goal. And if you've been watching my page, you would know that I did a 20-hour goal, and it's just been a blast. You know, getting to sit and craft, no interruptions. Husband is gone, and it's just so much fun. Sometimes you forget, you know, the joy of it because you're like so, you know, oh, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done. But, you know, take time for the joy too of just creating. Okay, this one will be a little trickier now. This is kind of rolled up, so I'm gonna lay it flatter. You'll notice I'm not using the foam from my stamp set because I'm using the back. Gosh, this thing keeps moving. Let me see if I can tighten it. Oh my gosh. Now it just wants to turn. Let me see if this helps. You guys must be wondering what's going on. Anyway, what I was wanting to say is you want that to lay pretty flat, and I'm using the back of my Versamat to stamp on because it's spongy on the back. So when you don't want to pull out your sponge from your stamp set every single time, this is very convenient. Okay, and I'm getting a lot of ink there, so I'm gonna grab, you can do this with your chamois, but I also have some alcohol prep pads here that I always keep with me just to keep those. And these do a great job of cleaning this. They do a great job of cleaning your scissors. So handy. All right, let me grab another one. That off there. It might still be wet, so I'll use the other side for now. I'm hearing this buzzing outside here. Oh, we're going again. I gotta figure out which it is that is making, oh, maybe that's it. All right, I think I may have found the problem. All right, okay, let's get this on. When I do my coloring, I'll try to lower it even more. I'm not sure. See how that's sticking up? That's going to be hard to stamp. So I'm just going to roll that down so that it's going to lay flatter. Wrong one. Oh, that's the right one. Okay, this may be slightly off. Let me see how that turned out. Okay, good enough. And one last one. And then you're gonna pause this video and you're gonna move on to stamping all the rest of yours. And then get out your markers and we'll do those together. Okay, sorry about the rocking of the camera. One last one. Just like that. So put yours on pause, put the camera on pause, and go ahead and stamp the rest of yours. So another thing that I found that I think that we should change for this layout is that the coral shades that she uses on the flowers seem super bright for this layout. I'll show them to you. They're almost red, unless it's my marker, but I use the one that she says. And that's really bright for this layout. Now, when I look at hers, and I've talked to her about this before, because she used the same shades on another layout, and when she showed me her colors were not as bright as that. So what I'm going to recommend instead, and this won't be accurate on the beginning of this video when I show the supplies I used, but I am going to put it on the supply list. So I would really recommend the dark purple blend instead. Much better, much closer, more of the colors that I think would go with this layout. So when you see me coloring with the coral blend, we're going to actually be using this. I would recommend you use this instead of that coral blend. let's do some coloring. And I'm only going to color one each of these because you know how to color, and I'm just going to show you the basics of using these alcohol markers. One of the things that I would definitely recommend to you if you are getting serious into coloring, that you're going to want to get some paper that's made for this. And there's a lot of different brands out there, but just look for a paper that's made for alcohol markers, or Copic markers is another thing you could Google, because those won't bleed, that you're going to blend so much easier and stuff. But just for this basic layout that we're making today, we're going to do a real basic look, and I'm using white cardstock. Our tri-blend markers, and then because I'm missing one of my markers, I'm going to use a couple Copics that'll match that gold yellow blend that I don't seem to have. So what I'm going to do is do one of each of the flowers just to show you what I'm going to do on them. Now I want you to really remember, follow your guide, because different layouts, she wants you to color them differently. So follow your guide. I'm just going to give you one example, but you need to follow your guide and do them for the other layouts in the correct color. So we're going to start with this flower, and layout 1 is a gold yellow blend. So because I only have my Copic, so you want to take the dark of your marker, the dark side. Remember, this has 3 different markers in it. You're going to use the dark one and the light one. So I'm going to use the dark one here. And I'm just going to go around the outside edge of my flower petals. There is just not room, because these are small flowers. There's not room for you to really go into all the details. If you were, if these were larger, then anywhere the artist drew a line, basically you could draw a line. So you could go in all these little, what do you want to call them? Little design lines that they've put here, all these little tiny ones here in the center and stuff like that. But we just don't have enough room, because this is a really tiny piece. So I'm just going with a darker color around the outside edges. Then you take your lighter color, go over that part that you just colored. That's to kind of blend the 2 colors together, and then just color the rest of that flower. So if you go over those darker lines, that's going to give you a little bit of shading, which is all we basically can do on these small pieces. Just go over those, and I just kind of make little circles most of the time. Like that. And then grab your green, which is the dull green blend. I'm going to use the light on this particular one. I'm going to use darker on another one. But on this, I'm just going, oops, that is dark. All right, so we're using the dark. You could use the light or the dark. Just change it up a bit. So on some of these flowers, I'm using the lighter, and I meant to use lighter on this one. But that's okay. We'll use dark on this one and a lighter on another one. Or you can use the medium. It doesn't really matter. But just change it up a bit so that they're not all the leaves are the same color, because come on, all the leaves are not the same color on every different flower, right? So we want to mix it up a little bit. Okay, so you barely have to touch them because there's just not that much room there. All right. So there's number 1, and then number 2 is the little cluster of leaves here. So you're going to use your dull green blend again. This time I have enough room to shade a little bit, but because if I try to outline and do the stem up the center, that's going to color the whole thing in dark. So all I'm going to do on this particular one is I'm only going to color up the center. That's where my shading is going to go on this one. Just the line up the center of each leaf. And then I'm going to take my light, and I'm going to go over all of that and just blend it in to the rest of the leaf. Yep, they are squeaky. So the better paper, for alcohol markers, is going to make it so these blend really easy and don't bleed. because you might notice that it'll go out of lines a little bit because you're going to bleed, because alcohol markers are very wet. An intense color that even goes right to the back, right? Okay, that one's done. Next is, and I'm just going by the page, remember, some of these are going to be different colors, so pay attention. Okay, I'm going to do the 3-flower one. Here it is, right there. And she's got you doing them gold blends and ice gray blends. So let's just play with the ice gray for this particular one. But remember, match them to the page. So I'm going to do the dark. And I'm just going around the outside. And then on this particular one, this looks like to me part of the flower instead of part of the stem. That little triangle underneath. And so I'm coloring that too. And going around the outside edge, and then take your light and just, oops, guess what I did? I accidentally used the dark first. Well, I'm 2 for 2. Okay. So now I'm going to go back in with the light. And because I messed up and started to, and I used the light first instead of the dark first like I was supposed to, I'm going to go back in because it doesn't matter which order you go in. And I'm just going to go and do a little bit of highlights here around the outside edge. Just kind of shade in there around that outside edge. And I'll just go back and reblend it with the light. And that is why alcohol markers are so awesome. You could just keep going over it and over it and come up with new stuff. Okay, let's take the green, and I'm going to go with the light side. See, this is why, because I looked at that somehow and I've got the caps on the wrong side. That is why I was messing up. Okay. So I'm going to use light green on this one. That's easy. And then the next is the multi-flower one right here. Let's use coral on that because we haven't used coral yet, and that's going to be one of the colors that you're going to need to use. These are really tiny. I'm matching this time to make sure the dark side's on it. So, you know, you're going to have to be delicate. And you might not be able to get around the whole outside. Just do the best you can, because these are really tiny. I may not even actually go around the whole outside, just putting a little color here and there. Maybe just go around the top, because you just don't have room. And a little bit around that edge. A little bit around this edge. I'll hold that up closer so you can see that I didn't go deep into it. I didn't go around it, so I kind of did more of the tops. Now take your light and then just go in and fill that in. Another cool look is if you just leave it white. So you can do the outline a little bit and then leave the rest white, and that looks really cool too. So if you're a person that doesn't really like to color much, you could just outline on these particular ones. Now on other things that would have more surface, I wouldn't do that. I'm doing the light here on the green, all the little stems and the leaves. Okay, throw that up there. And then we have the big bushy leaves. Now this one's a fun one to do. Take your dark. Not only are you going to outline it on this because you do have some room, but you can go right straight up the middle too. And that'll add a little more dimension when you're doing your blending. So I'm going all the way around the outside edge, then up the middle. This is something I would really love to get better at. There is some free classes. Gosh, now am I going to forget the name of the... I'm going to try to remember the name of the place where you can get some free classes on this. It's in Australia, but it's online. Kit and Clouder, I think that might be it. And just look it up on Facebook or I think kitandclouder.com.
And they have a lot of free tutorials, including a whole booklet you can print out and then follow along with on their free tutorials. So I've done some of those, and I want to do more because I would like to get really good at this. And I don't think there's a lot of places where I can take classes anymore on Copics, because I do have an entire set of Copics, which are just like these markers, same thing. But I'd gotten into those before Close to My Heart had gotten into the alcohol marker, so. But I would love to get even better at this. I have a bunch of stamps that I bought just for that to practice on, and I just haven't had time. Okay, there you go on that one. And what do we got? We got our little droopy flowers. I don't know what any of these flowers are. I'm into houseplants these days, so. All right, so we've done gray, we've done coral, we've done all of those. So let me just go back to my yellow on this one, and around the outside edge of every petal, do the dark. I'll tell you, there's one thing that money really can't buy is time, right? You know, even if you've got, you know, a maid or something like that, we still never have enough time to do all the things we want to do. I don't have a maid, by the way. I don't think I could ever hire a maid, because I would always feel like I had to clean the house first, and I would be embarrassed that they'd be looking at all of our stuff. So I don't think that's anything I would ever do. Am I alone in that? All right, light color is what I used on this one. So use dark on some and use light on others, and that is it. So now your job is to go back and do these, all right? Make some pretty flowers, and then we'll come back and get the layouts put together.